everybody, and especially in our generation, it's like everybody wants to be that top CEO at like like 14, 20 something years old, driving like a Ferrari and a Tesla compact or whatever. And they really want to just get to it fast and get to it quick. Heck, I'm even a victim of it too. And like I have my 8 different vision boards at home. I want to get the Forbes 30 under 30 if I can, and just do all the great things, buy my mama a house, blah 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 blah. But nobody really talks about the hardships that you go through in order to get to that point, or like the things that you miss out on, or like the regrets that you could have. Like, even though that I'm not that deep, that I still have certain regrets that I have, that I thank you that I'm talking to you right now so that I can try to fix that.
But you're only what, 23, 24?
25.
Okay. Well, I think you're getting ahead of yourself too. You're 25, so your brain's not even fully developed. Like, you're right there at it. You're
still got your soft spot, dude.
Yeah, so
that's what that is.
So you just hardened.
It's good to have you on, dude.
It's good to be on.
Yeah. So you were just talking about you're originally from New York.
Yeah. So it was we moved down to Greensboro like 2007, 2008, and my mom, she had a decent job, and she was doing pretty all right, and it was just me, her, and my grandmother. And one day we were coming home from doing who knows what, and apartments that have elevators, and one day we were just in the elevator and it just stopped. And as a kid, I just freaked out because it's a stuck elevator.
Yeah. How old were you?
Probably like 23 and counting. Man, I was probably like 4 or 5 maybe.
Okay.
And at that point, she was just like, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to grow my boy up in a house with steps so that he doesn't have to go through this again. And she was a woman of her word, and she just packed us all up, moved down to North Carolina with no job in mind, and she just made it work.
You were 4 or 5 in 2007?
Yeah, man. History is kind of, time moves so weird.
How old are you, dude?
I have really no idea. I honestly kind of forgot. I don't think about it too much. I can't say this though. I was at 4th grade age because I started the 4th grade down here.
Okay, so you're like 9.
Bam,
10,
there we go.
Yeah. Okay.
9 and 5.
That's crazy. I was 27 in 2007.
Ooh, dang.
Yeah, man, I'm old.
I'm 27 now. How does that make you feel, Neill?
Not any better.
Nah, everybody in this room just oozes with style and energy and youth. Everybody in here is cool.
So you guys, you and your mom and your grandmother moved here in 2007. Did you have any family here or know anyone here?
The only family that we had down here was just like my aunt, and she moved down here like maybe a year or 2 prior with my godbrother.
Okay.
So like we had that immediate family, and thank goodness they were like right up the street. So I had, some people to play with and have fun with.
It's funny, a lot of people move to this area that have no connection to this area.
Yeah. And
really interesting. Yeah.
Actually, a lot of people from New York that I've come to find out, they've actually moved from up there to down here. It's just like a pretty dope spot. You got like the mega buses or Greyhounds or train or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just like a decent change of pace because it's like you're not up all night, bumper to bumper traffic. You ain't got to worry about, all the stuff that's up there in New York. It's just pretty smooth and chill, easy traffic, easy people, nice people.
Yeah, North Carolina's nice. It's a nice state. I like it here too.
And you got Sherry Berry as the elevator person here, so you're good, dude.
I don't think she is anymore.
Oh, no. The end of an era.
Yeah, I know. That's my whole life. It seems like.
It's always Sherry Berry in the elevators.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, man.
Now some normal dude's name.
Yeah, like Terry or something.
Yeah,
Lame.
Frank.
I don't feel safe. I need Cherry.
Oh, man. So I know that in addition to all the intro stuff, I tried to do a little bit of research on you, Neill.
Okay.
Because like you are pretty well established and pretty tooting my own horn here, but you're very epic.
I wouldn't say that, yeah. But I appreciate it.
And we were talking about some of your businesses of the past, because right now you're up to like 30. And I'm trying to navigate this whole entrepreneurial space as a youngin'. And I posed the question, like, what, out of all the companies that you've worked on, which one was the one that brought you the most joy?
Business, I guess business in general brings me joy. I enjoy creating. My first business was a flooring business. It was a tile business. Me and a friend, we started a ceramic tile company when we were both 22 at the time, and that was a cool business. It's very hard business. It's hard on your body, but probably the business that's brought me the most, not necessarily joy, but I've got the most from. I got the most experience, and then it was probably the most exciting was I started a company when I was 27, and me and another guy started it, and we a lot of people said we were crazy. It was a terrible idea, and it was we'd started a business. They were business centers, similar to like a FedEx office type business. Mm-hmm. We had fax, copy, print services, office supplies, and internet computer time, and they were sort of a business center / internet cafe model, and we had a really good marketing program, and it was a very entertaining marketing program that we had set up for the company, or marketing campaign, I guess, and it was designed to let the customers come in and interact with each other and sort of create a social environment in the business. And and we opened our first location, and I remember even the one of the guys from the city was like, "This seems like a terrible idea," and I was like, "Well, maybe, you know." But I believed in the idea, and we put a lot of research and effort into it, and we started the business, and it was slow. Like it took. I was concerned that it wasn't going to make it. This was probably my third company. So I had the tile business, and then my business partner in that business, his dad had gotten injured, and he had to move to help his dad, so we had to close that business, and then. But that business was profitable, so that was, my first business was profitable, which was great. That's unusual. And then I'd started another business with a friend after that called Online Consignments. It was just an eBay-based company, and then that company sort of evolved into another business later, where we purchased. We got into buying precious metals and collectibles. And that was an okay business, especially it did really well during the big gold boom. Everybody was.
Was that when all the Cash for Gold commercials were out?
Yeah, because we had the big economic crash in 2008,
yeah.
And so.
Oh man.
So all your metals went through the roof, like the values went way up, and we had a couple of good relationships with. Some refineries. One was in New York and one was in Florida, and so we would just buy metals and then we'd sell them to them, and it was a heavily regulated business too. So everything that we purchased, we had to take pictures of it, and it would all go to the local law enforcement police station so they could make sure there was no stolen goods and stuff. We had only two stolen items. When we had that business.
What were they, like artifacts or something?
No, like
a
necklaces or something, jewelry or something. Yeah. But most people were really honest about it. That was a decent business while it lasted. And then we had some employee issues with that company. It was hard to just kept having employee issues, so we just finally closed it. But the other business that we had, or that I had. we were slow for several months. I mean, just barely making it, and myself and my other business partner, we had invested everything we had into the business, and we just kept pushing forward, and finally, after a lot of marketing and just hanging in there, we started to get some business, and slowly the business started to increase, and we built a good customer base, and then we started to expand and open new locations, and then at one point we had businesses in 3 states, or locations in 3 states. We had a nice management team, had about 200 employees, and we were in business for a long time, and we sold the business in 2015. So 2007 to 2015, sold the company, and then I mostly just do business consulting now. I've owned other companies since then, and during those years, restaurants, bars, winery, or I had interest in a winery. That was more of an investment. And so I enjoy business because I enjoy creating things. It's fun to. It's especially a startup because it's so you get to watch this thing start out as just a corporation that you start, and then you have to figure out how to construct this corporation and staff it, build it up, and watch it grow into hopefully something successful. And then, but I've had big losses too. I've experienced some big losses in business, and I guess that's part of business. If you want to be an entrepreneur, you're going to have to lose a lot. You're going to have a lot of failures, and you look at the failures as just part of the success. It's just an education, because a lot of people are like, man, if I knew then what I know now, then I could have been really successful. But I mean, that's how you know what you know now is you have to experience those failures, because there is a sort of I feel like it's a problem when an entrepreneur doesn't have any experience with failure, because I think you need to be humbled as an entrepreneur, because you need to. It gives you perspective, and I don't think that you have to completely fail or fall flat. I think if you have a good mentor, you have people in your life that can sort of help you avoid some of those big failures, that's great too. But you still need some of the failures. And I think as an entrepreneur, the main goal is that you win overall. Mm-hmm. But and also I think it's important, if you have success, not to let it go to your head, not to ever. You should always be confident, but you don't have to.
Has it ever gotten to your head? Like when you were younger, maybe?
I mean, a little bit sometimes. Yeah.
You splurged out on that nice Ferrari.
Yeah. I've done a pretty good job of staying grounded, and because I'm an empathetic person, and I care about other people, and I don't feel like I'm better than anyone else. I never have. But I did go through some phases in my life looking back where I had a little bit too much ego. Maybe a little too cocky, but it's okay. I got humbled. I got sat down and had to reevaluate, and I lost my leg at one point. So that was, 2013 was my most difficult year in life, because I had some pretty big businesses fail, and I lost my leg at the same time, and it was just like, oh, what's happening? And that was a real nice wake up call for me, and sort of it really allowed me to step back and reevaluate my life, and it changed my perspective on life in general, really. I tell a lot of people, it was one of my favorite times with my wife, because we just got to hang out a lot, and I was like, oh, I've been missing out on the most important things in life because I was so busy. And when you're so busy, and entrepreneurs are really bad about just being so focused and consumed with what they do that they don't pay attention to anything in their life. And so you'll miss years of your life just because you're so consumed with what you're doing. It's obsession. and so now I have a better, I think a healthier relationship with what I do professionally and personally, and I have a better perspective on what's really important to me, but that comes with age and that's experience, and also the losses help you with that a lot, and so when I had all those losses, I reevaluated. I neglected a lot of my creativity, which has always been a big part of my personality and who I am. I grew up really poor, so business was attractive because I could make money. And when you spend your whole childhood not having any money, then that's a priority. You always hear about the starving artist. Well, I experienced that the first part of my life, so I didn't want to. I figured, well, I'll put art to the side and I'll pursue something that'll pay the bills and feed me, and then I can go back and pursue art later. And that may not have been necessarily the right thing. I feel like if you're a young person today, and you are an artist, or you have a certain predisposition to a specific area in your life that interest, I think you should probably pursue that interest, even if it seems like not the most financially rewarding area. As long as you have an ability to do it, as long as you're not being delusional about it, it's something that you believe that you can actually do, then I think you can be successful at anything. And I think if you really obsess over it and you put in the work and the time and the suffering to get really good at it, then if you reach a certain level at that thing, it can be rewarding and it can sustain you. And so I think that's important. And I do have some regrets about not pursuing some of my more creative desires at a young age. But I've always looked at business from a creative perspective too, and so I did get a lot of fulfillment just in growing businesses and being able to be creative in business. And even working with Daniel, he's more analytical than I am, which I can be both. I'm pretty balanced in that area, but he's definitely more on the analytical side, and I'm more on the creative side. So us working together, we really complement each other well. So yeah, that was. Answer
your question, Nyland. Neill is saying you need to lose a limb if you want to.
Really appreciate your life. You should just cut off a leg.
Yeah. That's what they mean by when they say break a leg, huh?
That's yeah. Or just completely remove it. Yeah. No, I wish I still had my leg. That was maybe I went too far, but.
But I will say, well, first I gotta say thank you so much for sharing that overall story, because everybody, and especially in our generation, it's like everybody wants to be that top CEO at like 14, 20 something years old, driving like a Ferrari and a Tesla compact or whatever. And they really want to just get to it fast and get to it quick. Heck, I'm even a victim of it too. And like I have my 8 different vision boards at home. I want to get the Forbes 30 under 30 if I can, and just do all the great things, buy my mama house, blah 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 blah. But nobody really talks about the hardships that you go through in order to get to that point, or like the things that you miss out on, or like the regrets that you could have. Like, even though that I'm not that deep, that I still have certain regrets that I have, that I thank you that I'm talking to you right now so that I can try to fix that.
But you're only what, 23, 24? 25, okay.
Well, I'm 25 physically, but since the pandemic, I'm like 22.
Oh yeah, you missed some time.
2 years.
Some regression,
But yeah, and heck, that could spiral out into a whole nother topic of conversation, because it's like the imposter syndrome, feeling confident in all these different spaces, and not just the business stuff, but like the comedy stuff too. And by the way, even though that you went through all that stuff, you turned that into killer stand-up.
Oh, I wouldn't say killer, but thank you, man. I appreciate it.
It kills me all the time.
Well, good. Also don't. I think you're getting ahead of yourself too. You're 25, so your brain's not even fully developed. Like, you're right there at it. you're
Still
all,
got your soft spot, dude.
yeah. So
That's what that is.
So you-
just hardened.
your 20s are when you want to figure out who you are and build and start to build in a certain direction. And then so then your 30s can be like when you're really establishing yourself, and that's when your big success can come. I think you could if you're 25, you could easily be a millionaire by 30. If you're really out there trying to get after it, and you have a certain business goal in mind, and you're an intelligent dude.
Oh,
And if you have some direction right now, you could be very successful by 30. And you can also you need a mentor. Find somebody that's in the field that you're in or that you want to be in that's already successful, and have them help you, give you some direction and help guide you so you can avoid some of the pitfalls. But also, your ideas are important too. Always remember, we all have our own ideas, and we're all idea machines. We all take and absorb information, and so there's a level of creativity in all of us where, somebody that's already been successful, like the stuff that I went through, may not work for you. Some of it will. There's some basic principles there, but there's also some stuff that's really unique to me and my ideas, and there'll be stuff that's unique to you and your ideas, and you have to trust yourself on that stuff too.
Yeah.
Because that may be where the success comes from. It's successful people always give good, successful advice, but for every one of those successful people, there are thousands of people that failed. And the reason that person has good advice is because they had a good experience. But that advice may be very specific to that experience. And because everything is constantly changing and evolving, and sometimes the answer is really ambiguous, and you kind of have to just search and struggle for it till you find it. So be confident in yourself too, because a lot of it is that ambitious desire to succeed, and that's the thing that I think is more valuable than most other traits. If you want to be successful, you have to have ambition and drive. What do you do now? I know you were recently in Dubai or something, right?
I sure was. That's a very great question. So I'm a software engineer by trade.
Okay.
I got my bachelor's and master's from North Carolina A&T in computer science. And
Nice.
right now, and it's actually funny that you mentioned that about drive and desire, because right now I'm working for a startup company called Allspring, and their main focus right now is to help companies that are working with how can I explain it? Like business companies, and that doesn't do good at all. Back to the top. We're basically trying to help employees better themselves every day, 1% at a time. So if that's providing some, just providing stuff to help you be a better person at your job, as much as I'm able to say.
Okay.
And before that, before I even get to that, in addition to that, I'm working for a nonprofit called Goody Nation, and their mission is to help. Their mission is to essentially help get people that are building dope stuff connected to the opportunities and the resources that they need. And they do have a focus with Black, Brown, POC, women, basically minority entrepreneurs that are trying to get into this particular space. And they're actually celebrating 10 years of service over down there in Atlanta. And I work with them as I was talent support, but now I'm supporting we're doing a initiative called Stay in the Game. So with the current market right now, doing a startup is not the best thing to do, or at least to look for funding. So we're creating a program that helps startups that are looking to shut down to pivot into roles that keep them in the innovation, tech, whatever, similar space to this. And that
the tech world's evolving so rapidly right now.
Yeah, and it's just insane. It's like you got AI, you got the whole investment market, the general economic market, job market right now. And going back to your point when you were talking about pivoting in your business, I thought that by the time I graduated with a master's, it'd be, straight smooth sailing. I'd have a decent job. I'd work 9 to 5, get myself like my nice little remote check and buy an apartment, take care of my mom, move out the house, blah, 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 blah. But that just didn't happen. And at one point I was like, honestly, I felt betrayed by my degree because it was like, I'm supposed to get this.
Yeah.
But it didn't happen. And I had to just make a move and pivot and be scrappy on my feet. And I was able to find some work with some startups here and there. Worked as a tutor for 1 minute. Then I worked as a SEO expert. And then I found another startup company local to here called Previewed. If anybody wants to check that out, please do. And just doing software engineering work. And just trying to build up my confidence because it's like...
When you say software engineering, do you do a lot of programming stuff or what do you...
That's a good question. Yes. So my focus is like full stack development. So when we're saying full stack, we're thinking of like websites, we're thinking of databases, we're thinking of API work, JavaScript, Node, React, Next, JS, and all that other stuff. So.
I know what those are.
Hey, and for those that don't know what that is,
very analytical stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, just it's the language of computer magic.
Yeah,
that's all you need to know. And
takes real obsession to do that stuff.
Oh boy, you're telling me.
Yeah.
Like, it's actually funny because I got into it. I started off doing robotics in like high school, and like it was
Hey, are you still interested in robotics? That's a great field right now.
Yeah, I probably should if I want money, but
a lot of companies are building humanoid robots today for AI.
Yeah, that is insane to imagine. Like in the next
2 years.
2 years, insane. We're just gonna have robot assistants that are able to just walk around and do stuff for us.
You ever thought about we're not far from having a robot assistant or an AI assistant it'll be in everything you have. It'll just be. I'm guessing it'll be able to fluidly transfer itself. It'll be in the cloud, but it'll be in all of your devices. So it'll be in your robot assistant. It'll be in your car. It'll be in your phone. It'll be on your computer. It'll just be everywhere.
Heck, in some way,
in your glasses.
This is going to be in our wine glasses. It's going to be in our cups. But that's funny. Actually, ChatGPT, I just saw on the app they have it to where like they have like a full-on voice assistant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So heck, we're already part of the way there, and
it's moving at a 10x too. So it's happening so fast. Did you see the Q Star thing?
No, what is that?
So that was the big. You saw the big debacle with Sam Altman and AI at OpenAI.
You talking about when he got fired and rehired? Yes.
So that was about. It had something to do with this thing called Q Star. Are you familiar with Q learning? Apparently, it's
was it quantum learning?
It's not quantum learning. It's a type of learning. I guess an AI learning. Or it's really a learning algorithm is what it is, and it gives the AI the ability to find the best path to the factual answer, and the star has something to do with some extra element they've added to it. But apparently GPT-4 they were able to get it to score 100% on this sort of basic math. But AI has had a lot of issues with math because these large language models, they guess the next best word in a sentence based on all of our information and data. And so they're used to giving multiple answers to the same question. In language, you could give 1,000 different answers and they're all correct. They're just worded differently. But in math, there's one answer. And that's why it was failing in math, and a lot of computer scientists believe that for AI to really master math, it needed quantum technology and quantum compute. But now they think with this Q star learning, it doesn't need that. and the fact that it scored 100% on this is basic math.
Mm-hmm.
But as these things evolve so rapidly, it's basic math today. Next month, maybe it's more advanced math, and then in a year, maybe they're breaking all the codes. You know what I mean? Like they're able to crack any code that we have. So that was the real controversy behind the issue, and they think that it's a major component in AGI. So now that they have an algorithm that will allow these AI models to do math perfectly, that's a major step in artificial general intelligence. So or toward artificial general intelligence, which they may have already achieved. They're not going to tell us, but so anyway, that's I don't know why I even started talking about that, but it's
because AI is so interesting, and in my head canon, I hope that all they just gave the AI a calculator. It just wanted a calculator to calculate.
Texas Instruments, yeah.
Yeah.
It won't need
like,
it.
have you done stuff
But now I
with
don't
that?
need it.
You're I actually have your resume, Nyland, here.
Oh my.
Oh
boy.
So you worked at like Apple and stuff, dude, and everything like that. Like, have you ran into any like AI stuff like in your travels?
Man,
Or
it's
is that
fun.
more of a?
or how often do you use it personally?
Well, nowadays it's just like super. Like literally before I came here, I'm using ChatGPT to help me build an API for the startup that I'm working at.
Oh, there you go.
And it's been so integral into the developer experience that it makes it so much easier for not just new people to come in, but to also help to 10x working in whatever place that you're working at.
Yeah.
And it's a shame that the only thing that's really holding us back is the fact that you got to pay however bucks a month for GPT-4, and that they placed a pause on what it's capable of learning. But actually, for the developers out there, and I want to look into the camera to send a message, but
Go ahead.
Oh, cool. All right, so for the developers out there, there's this website called Find, PHIND. It has 10 credits to GPT-4, and they have their own learning model. I've been using that to develop. And what I like about that is that it pulls data from like Google and other sites like Stack Overflow to help you get the answers that you need. And you can also look it up at the so it's like you can see where it's citing its sources from.
Yeah.
So that's
cool.
epic.
Have you used Poe?
Poe, this is a new one.
Poe's another good app. You can access GPT-4, and you can access about 6 different AIs on that one.
Ooh.
I actually like to use Bard more than ChatGPT.
Really?
Yeah, Bard is it just gives me better information. And it gives me links. So Bard has internet access as Google's AI, So it's not as powerful as ChatGPT, but it's the interface and the functionality is better for me. Like I like it better. It's because I rarely Google things anymore. I just ask the AI.
Yeah.
And then I ask it for links, or references,
It's insane to think that, because like I've tried Bard with like Gmail and Docs and all that stuff, and I say that it is pretty neat. Honestly, with all these different models going around right now, we're at the point where we have YouTube tutorials where anybody can just go ahead and just try to make their own model.
Oh yeah.
And going back to,
have you seen the autonomous bots, the GPT bots? Like the agents, the autonomous agents. So you can create as many autonomous agents as you want, and then I think you can have agents create agents now.
that's
Like you can create hierarchies. It's almost like you create a whole staff of AI agents.
this is dang it. I remember because this was one of the classes that I could have taken if I went the PhD route. Was it multi-agent networks or multi-agent systems? One of those things. It sounds very dope, and I would love to have my own little agent within agents of itself, and make its own cluster of minds. But it reminds me of a cartoon that I used to watch back in the day that got me into computer science a little bit, called Code Lyoko.
Oh, I remember Code Lyoko. They had
Code
the big old
Lyoko.
foreheads.
The big old garbage pail kids. And the whole point of that show is like they had this basically an AI agent that went rogue, and it was able to possess different forms of technology. It could manifest creatures from the digital world that it resided in into the real world through like data. And like it's basically like an AI ghost that can possess people, things, and manifest stuff. And I'm just like, you know, although that is fiction, there has been a lot of the alignment of like stuff that we've seen in fiction, and now it's becoming reality.
Well, science fiction doesn't have to, like to write science fiction, you don't have to do studies and write papers. You just have these philosophical ideas, and sometimes the science fiction gets it more accurately than the science. Like sometimes the science fiction is a good predictor of what's going to happen.
Yeah. Like smartwatches, I mean, flying cars, not all practical, but we could do it. It's like,
there's a really good series called, I don't read a lot of fiction, but there's a great series called, what's the name of it?
Put me on a series.
I think it's called The Inhumans, or hang on, I'll tell you what it is.
I haven't thought of Code Lyoko in a long time. Yeah, they would like go in the computer and be like 3D, right?
Yeah. So they start off in 2D and then they go into the 3D world, and that's how they saved. I believe that's how they saved some money on animation, because they were like anime level quality type of animation in the 2D stuff.
It's called The Last Humans.
Ooh.
And it's a 3-book series. It's Oasis, Limbo, and Haven. And it's so good. Like it takes place way in the future, and humans are in this story. Humans have become completely. They're completely made of nanotechnology. Actually, everything is just nanotechnology, which looks like that's the way it's like Minecraft, like on a micro scale, on a quantum scale. So if you think of something, you can just have it. Like it'll just appear. Like the nanobots will just assemble in that thing. And so like if you needed a vehicle, your driveway would become a vehicle. Or if you need a bed, a bed just appears in your room. You'd have one room in your house, and it could be all your rooms. Like I want a studio right now, so this right now is currently the studio, but now I'm done with the studio, so now I'm going to hang out and watch TV, so now it becomes a living room. And it's a really fascinating book, and they have, they use VR, but they don't have to put on goggles or anything. They can just go into experiences. They can connect. They can all be connected to each other, to the cloud, and to AI, and it's really fascinating. And I could see a future where that's a thing, like where that is how things function. Because it's all, everything's all the same thing. It's just, we're just manipulating matter, and how far can we go, I guess.
And yeah, my goodness. And the moment that you're saying that, I can already like kind of see like what are the barriers that we would need to like break in order to get that to happen.
Well, I think we're trying to escape the biological form. I think we're trying to create the ability to not die, to store infinite memories, and also be more and more connected.
But then you add and then you just got to imagine like in an ideal world where, well, actually, even to that point, I pose the question: do you think that we would need like capitalism at that point?
No, like I don't think we need. I think if we reach a level where we can manipulate matter on a quantum scale at that level, then there's no need for currency. I don't think, and also if you're that connected, then I think all life is one thing.
Huh.
I think the whole universe is one thing. But I just don't think we're conscious enough yet to really fully understand that. But I think as we achieve higher levels of consciousness and connectivity, then suddenly I think we'll reach a level where we're able to step back and not be as selfish, or not be selfish at all. Maybe I think right now we have a scarcity mentality.
Yeah.
You know, there's that phenomenon where astronauts, when they get away from the Earth and they can see the whole planet, suddenly they see that there are no borders and no divisions, and you know, we have this amazing situation that we're in, this amazing circumstance where all this we're this one giant life form, and it doesn't have to be the chaotic hell that we live in. It can
You
be.
don't see the borders up there. Like, we're used to seeing maps, and it's like everything's
Yeah.
cut up and
Yeah.
everything, but it's just one thing up
Yeah,
there.
one beautiful thing, and it's amazing. And instead of fighting each other for resources, we should be sharing resources with each other and trying to solve problems. And so I think technology does that. I think it has greatly. I think, you know, historically we've eliminated many huge problems and a lot of poverty. We still have plenty of other huge problems, but you know, the data shows that we do improve. And I think if we can, you know, get sociopaths out of our leadership roles,
Yeah.
that's probably the next step towards something, you know, better.
Interesting. I only brought that up because it's just like, because I think this was on Futurama, but like they had because like they had friggin' ads in your dreams and stuff like that, and
Oh, yeah.
and like right now it, like at this point in time of recording, YouTube is really starting to crack down on ads and stuff like that to, you know, make the better experience.
Yeah.
And like I only gotta think it's like, because eventually, like all of the products that we have, they eventually just get like worse because they gotta find some way to make money. Because like a lot of these current technologies, they aren't necessarily profitable, but they generate something.
Yeah.
So it's like when we get our hands on the technology in general, it's gonna produce a lot of great things and do and open up the potential for a lot of great good. But my question is, who's going to be the person that's going to try to hold that back from all of us?
Well, I think we're seeing that right now. I think, you know, your most powerful corporations have a lot of power, more power than governments. They pretty much control governments now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all the wars we see today are mostly corporate warfare, but I think even that reaches a level where there's no longer an interest in controlling people or trying to take down societies to control their resources, because we'll just be able to harness energy in such an efficient manner that it won't matter. You know, when we start to harness solar energy in a much more efficient way, and we move away from unsustainable energy, and I think that's a big part of it. I think food, when we solve food issues, how to have a more sustainable food source, food system. You know, it's funny. Like I think it's people they refer to humans as like bacteria or viruses. Well, yeah, like everything's bacteria and viruses. Like that's the whole thing. Like all humans are. We're just like.
Everything needs energy to survive.
Yeah, we're compilations of bacteria.
Yeah.
Like we're just eventually the information just clumps up and becomes conscious, and we're just a conscious clump, you know, of energy.
Yeah, we're all a conscious
information, and the whole thing's eating itself. I think that's part of what we're doing too. Is if we can reach a level where we can get our energy from the sun, even individually, like we can absorb sunlight and live off of sunlight instead of each other and other things, I think that's part of the evolution of consciousness. And I think I think eventually everything becomes technology. I think we learn how to convert everything to what we call technology, and it becomes more efficient. And that way, you don't have animals eating each other. It's just the animals become the technology. You know, everything becomes consciousness. You know, and I don't know how far away that is, or if we'll even reach that. Maybe we can achieve that. Maybe our biological nature ruins that for us, you know, before we get that far. But I think that's inevitably what happens if we don't ruin it. You know, if we don't destroy ourselves, or if we don't have some type of a cataclysmic disaster, like some asteroid or comet hits the planet and we do a reset.
Again.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, it's very possible.
Got the Big Bang and you got the big, what is it, the Big Suck?
Did you see the new stuff about the Big Bang?
I have
That's a
not.
funny sentence.
Well, they had to reevaluate the science behind the Big Bang, because now with the James Webb Telescope, they looked way back in the universe, to where the Big Bang should be, like where it should have started, and now they're seeing galaxies that are fully developed galaxies that shouldn't exist. So now they're thinking that the universe is like 27 billion years old instead of 14 billion years old.
That is so insane to think that. First of all, I love the scale of this conversation.
Yeah, what is that? What does that even mean? What is that number?
It's so dang big. It's interesting to see with just like technological development that we still are trying to figure out like the mundane things of life, and then that just expands into like, how big is the universe? What is the edge of that?
That's so big that if you were traveling light speed, so when you travel light speed, time just freezes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But if you traveled at light speed, I think for like, 100 years maybe, or maybe a couple hundred years, you would reach the end of time. Like the whole universe would be over. Like billions of years would have passed.
Time you got there, it's already done.
It's already done.
Yeah.
That's crazy that like we can have like technology that like we made this new thing. Turns out we're wrong about that.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like as long as we keep doing that,
I feel like we should do that more often.
Yeah, but if like eventually we get to a thing like, oh, we figured it all out, then it's like, what's the point?
You can't.
Yeah.
There's no end. It's endless.
And that's I kind of like that. I like.
Yes. Yeah. There's always novelty, nuance. Yeah.
Speaking as a scientist, I'm not a scientist, but I mean, it's cool to hear stuff
as a curious
like
human. Yeah.
Yeah.
We need a society where people where life is good enough where you can be curious.
Yeah.
Because for most people, you can't be curious because who cares? I'm trying to eat.
How old the earth is. I'm hungry.
I gotta feed myself.
Yeah.
I gotta live. I got bills to pay, bro.
I mean, people wouldn't. If you wanna eliminate crime, eliminate poverty.
Yeah.
That's 100%.
Send people to space just to visit.
Just to
send all the politicians to space.
Yeah.
I wonder, like all these billionaires and stuff, like wanting to go to space and stuff. Do you think that would maybe like some billionaire goes up there and they go up and they're like, oh, we need to.
Well, here's the problem with the paradox that we're in is most of these billionaires are CEOs, and as a CEO, your loyalty is with the company that you represent. You're not a CEO is not an independent entrepreneur. I mean, they can be, like if it's a small business, but in a huge publicly traded company, a CEO of that company is not. They can't just do whatever they want to do.
Yep.
And their loyalty has to be to that corporation, to the board of that corporation, and to the shareholders of that corporation.
Yeah.
Because that company is a machine designed to do one thing: it's designed to make as much profit as possible in any means that it can legally. But when the machine has corrupted the system and it writes its own laws, then it can it'll do whatever it wants to do, or whatever it'll do terrible things to make money, and that CEO can't stop it, because if that CEO tries to stop the machine from being profitable, then they eject the CEO. It's just the way the system works. It's a flawed system. The system doesn't have enough checks and balances to prevent the corruption. So now we have a corrupt cycle. It's a cyclical system that's self-serving, and it's absorbing us. It's absorbing the people that should be the main priority in the society. We are the society. Without the people, there is no society. And so we have to find a way to decorrupt the system. And I think technology helps with that, because I think technology is inherently decentralizing, because it makes it makes some of those things unnecessary or inefficient. It eventually it makes things like money meaningless. Like your cell phone. Like nobody buys music anymore because why would you? I mean, you can buy a collectible music, like you may buy albums and stuff like that, but no one's no one's paying for their music, and just all the things that this phone can do. Just 20 years ago or 30 years ago, you'd have to spend probably millions of dollars to gain this type of technology
on like separate pieces of it too.
Yeah, it would fill up rooms with all the shit it would take to
send them to space,
do what this does. I mean, most people don't even have cameras anymore.
Yeah.
This is a way better camera than the cameras that I used to own.
Like, have you seen, I think it's a Google camera where it's just like a fully AI camera, and all it does is that it takes the location information and then it generates a picture based off of where you were. So there's like no lens.
Wow.
Yeah, it just takes it just takes your lat and long, and it just generates a picture based off of what it thinks would be dope out there.
They do that with the moon. Like, there's some Google phones, you zoom in,
the
it's
Ultra.
like, oh, look how close you can zoom in. And it's like, no, that's just a picture of what the moon looks like today.
Yeah, I knew that was bullshit when I saw that. I was like, there's no way that little lens is doing that.
No.
It takes, to get shots like that, you have to have a telescope.
Yeah.
A telescopic, like a real expensive lens.
Yeah.
You can't just do... That would be like a magic lens. You know what I mean?
That'd be like something they would kill you for witchcraft for.
Right.
Back in the day.
Yeah. And maybe that'll exist eventually.
Maybe. Yeah.
Maybe. But that's, I mean, the sensor in that thing is not even close to the size it would have to be to take an image like that.
Well, actually, you know what? I do want to get your thoughts on this, because the both of y'all are certainly like way more deep into the creative royalties space when it comes to like AI and stuff like that. So when y'all think about the samples and or sources that they use to train these models, like, what are your thoughts on that? And or when it comes to generating different types of images for like commercial use, what are y'all's thoughts on that?
So I think AI art is amazing. Mm-hmm. As an artist, I think it's amazing. I think the first thing I would say about AI art is it's a magic paintbrush. Mm-hmm. It's just a tool for the artist to use. Just like any other tool that an artist uses, it's just another tool for us to use to express ourselves.
Right.
And so I think I understand the copyright issues with artists, but I also understand why they're losing these lawsuits, because the way these models work, they're artificial neural networks. They're created like a mind, and they learn the same way a mind learns. They learn by exposure. And I have this thing I always say, where I say, none of my ideas are my own, but all of our ideas are ours collectively. Mm-hmm. And because we're all just constantly absorbing information, we're like antennas. And then some of us that are more creative are better at expressing and articulating these ideas. Doesn't mean that those ideas were all your ideas. They're just things you've been exposed to.
Yeah.
And your mind is maybe better at expressing those ideas. And I don't think you shouldn't be rewarded for your expression either. And I think, but if you were a painter, mm-hmm. and then I told an AI to create a piece of artwork in your style, and it created something that looked exactly like something you would paint, maybe better, it's still not better than something you would paint, because the value to me in an artist is that person has spent tens of thousands of hours mm-hmm. honing this biological body into a precision machine capable of creating some type of, or expressing some type of beautiful art. And that's real suffering. And the suffering is the value. The suffering in gaining that ability is what I'm paying for. Not, I'm not... if God creates a painting for me, I'm not that impressed. It's God. You know what I mean? Like, so it's but if you create a painting, then I'm really impressed, because I know how hard that is. I can relate to that. It resonates with me. An AI artwork can resonate with me because I'm asking the collective consciousness of humanity to create something for me. And it's amazing, but it's worthless. as far as like putting a price on it, I pay $20 a month for it. Like that's what it's worth to me. And so I think we have to get past that. I think it's the scarcity mentality, and it's the human nature, the greed. Also, we have to eat. Artists need to get paid. So I think, maybe there's a way to do it where if they use your data, you get some kind of royalty. But I just don't. There's so much content. I don't see how that works. And so I think we just all go into it together I think you have to look ahead, and you have to say, what does this look like 10 years from now? Is there a better society because we have this technology? And I think so. And I think it is across the board. I think, this technology could easily become a personal assistant that could do great things for all of us individually, and you have, and so I think it needs as much data as possible. And I don't think it takes away from your books. I don't think, maybe you can have it set up where it won't just give you a book, like it won't, give me a Stephen King novel, this one, and it just types it all out and gives it to you. No, maybe we should prevent it from doing that. Maybe it should just be aware, hey, I can't do that. Just go buy the book. I'll give you a link to go buy the book.
What if it did the all work and no play? It makes AI adult, just that over and over again, like in The Shining. That'd be awesome. Hell yeah.
So it's a complicated issue, and I do understand from the artist's perspective, because if you create something, you want credit for it, and if it's something valuable, you want to get paid for it. But also, if I study somebody's work and I start painting in that style, then I can paint something that looks like another artist's work. And also that's how we develop a style, by being inspired by other people's works. And now currently the models, they can reason, and there is some level of creativity, but the current models don't. They can't really create their own unique style. It looks like it, because there is if you use Midjourney or different AI art apps, they have specific looking styles. But and eventually they all if I can see a piece of AI art and I can tell if it's Midjourney, because it has a certain look to it, and it's amazing. It's unbelievable. It's profoundly complex, but it still looks like Midjourney art. Whereas I think real soon, though, we're going to have AI models that can form and develop their own styles, especially with this Q learning stuff. And I think that's when it's going to get really interesting. I think that solves the problem too, because then it'll be able to create nuance, and novelty, and it can do that, but it's not. It's doing it more as it's doing it as it's exposed to everything. It's like you're starting to see that in science with humans too. Like the sciences are starting to merge together. So you're starting to see there's a science called complexity, which is a combination of multiple disciplines. Yeah, but now you're starting to see that's becoming a more common thing, and I think that's great. I think we're getting ready to really have some major breakthroughs in science. Probably the biggest breakthroughs we've had since Einstein. But there's a scientist, Dr. Michael Levin, who's working on limb regeneration and stuff like that, which
Nice.
I'm obviously interested in. But he's working with people in other fields and other disciplines, and they've discovered things through that otherwise they wouldn't have discovered if they were just focused on their own discipline. And things like what's the software that drives our bodies and it drives the cells in your body, and it's got a lot to do with the electrical signals. Like the electricity within the cells is the software that really controls what the cell does, how it behaves, and how it uses the genetic information to grow and duplicate. So, and I think you take that type of idea, and then you give it to a super intelligence that has the ability to be creative and not just creative, but also that has the ability to what's the word? To
Combinate, permutate.
Can't think of the word.
Mash things together, and
Well, it's already doing that, but it's reason, has the ability to reason and be creative. And so like you're going to see these new AI models that are coming out. So this is a good example, and it solves a lot of this too. The new models they're working on now, developing probably like GPT-5, and then I know Google's working on something massive, Gemini maybe or something, but they can create their own data now. So now the AI models can generate their own data to be trained on, their own training data. And so it's not using anybody else's information. It's just generating its own, it's being creative, and it's creating new things and novel things. And so you'll have these next iterations of these AI models will be, the code and all the data will be written by themselves.
I'd watch that movie Training Data, starring Denzel AI Washington or something like that.
That's funny.
I don't know, it made me think of that when you said training data.
Training data. Yeah, that's funny. So I think these things will work themselves out, but I think it's important though. I think AI is the most important thing that's happened to humanity maybe ever, and I do worry about corporations controlling it. But there's so many different platforms out there, so many different models. There's so much open source technology. I don't think that any one corporation is going to be able to control it or harness it, and so I think it could be used to enslave us all, but I don't think that'll happen. I think it'll be the opposite. I think it'll actually give us a lot more freedom, and it'll help us solve a lot of these problems that we just can't get past.
It's up to you, Nyland, to make sure it doesn't enslave us.
Right.
No pressure, okay?
oh man, all right.
So like when Nyland, you worked with like a lot of apps and stuff, right? Like developing apps and stuff. So like
Yep.
as so like I'm noticing I don't see a lot of people like I remember my wife, she worked at a startup for a little bit where they tried to do a thing with an app, and then they were just like, oh, the technology has already surpassed whatever, blah blah blah, and then they just like stopped doing it. So like how have you had to adapt kind of building this kind of technology as like stuff keeps changing? Because like all the stuff you guys are saying right now is like this is different, this will probably be all different in a few months. So like how have you been able to like adapt as a young man in the app developing world?
That's a very good question, and that's honestly the whole entire software engineering industry as a whole. Like this whole industry is constantly evolving. Like you go back in the day, you got like Pascal and C, and heck, it just started. Like this is an industry like that just started. A couple of years later, now you got Java, JavaScript, HTML, blah 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 blah, and then now you're at like what are we at? Like React next. Well, I mean, honestly,
Python's still a big one, right?
Huh?
Python.
Oh yeah, Python and all these different technologies. And to our credit, we have the advantage of like experience, and we know that this is not a good developer experience, so let's make a new language that is not going to suck to work with. And that's like the one thing that we have as a software engineer. But going on to future iterations, future technologies, this, that, and the third, like there's always going to be some sort of like tutorial. There's always going to be some sort of need. There's always going to be someone that's going to want to take this technology or concept and make something out of it. It's like you're going to have your creative types, you're going to have your analytical types, you're going to have the people that can have big ideas, and you have the people that can build the ideas. Typical Jobs and Wozniak type of situation. And at the end of the day, there's always going to be some form of opportunity. Like there's always going to be someone who has a big idea with a startup, and they're going to need someone to build it. Now the question is, how fast as a developer can you get caught up to get to building? And that has been, well, first, thank goodness for ChatGPT, because that makes it so much easier. I don't have to get SaaS from people on Stack Overflow anymore because I'm just not that great of a developer. But also, I can't believe
It writes a lot of your code for you,
It's
right?
kind of crazy that like
Yes.
the thing that's making it like advance so quickly, you need to use it as a tool to keep up with the stuff that's advancing. So it's
Exactly.
interesting.
That's how it always works. Like
Yeah.
they used to, when I was young, the argument was that technology will give us so much more time. But no, it just allows us to do so many more things in the same amount of time.
Yep.
Because we only have so much time. So we just become more and more productive. So like now a computer program can be 20 times more productive because an AI can write all their code for them. And it can also, you can use it as an editor. So like I use AI as an editor all the time. I write something, have to write a letter or, some kind of business letter or email or something. I'll just put it in the AI and have it go over it, and just it'll just go through the whole thing. It'll correct any errors, and it'll punch it up a little for me, like make it a little better. Like it'll polish it.
I do that all the time with my with my gig over at Goody Nation, because it's like I'm trying to figure out like what's the best way to word this thing, or how can I make this sound more professional, or even just to get started. And that's one of the things that I really like about AI is that I have so many different ideas that I want to execute, but it's just like you need to take that first big step to move forward, and it really does help to speed up that process.
Yeah, it's great. It's a really great tool. Pretty soon it'll probably do all of our editing in here.
Yeah.
We're not far from that, I'm sure.
Actually, it's funny that you mentioned that. I was in San Francisco a year ago, and my friend was working for, I believe, Redfin, which is one of the big venture capital firms that has some decent history on it. They have a technology where they do their podcast, and it does literally all the editing for you.
Wow.
It'll record all of that. So, Seth?
Might be I'll do a John Henry type situation. I'll race the AI or whatever and then just die. That's how I go out.
Seth will be George Jetson. He'll just come in and push a button.
Yeah.
Boom. Now, we're going to take Seth's consciousness. We're going to train a model against it. And we're going to make our own Seth model.
It's already doing it. It's copying him right now.
Bam.
Yeah. This chair that I'm in, it's just downloading stuff. I can't stand up.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
My goodness. I hope it's a USB-C cable.
No, it's a big one.
Oh, boy.
I wonder how we're going to start merging with this technology.
Neuralink?
Yeah, I think it'll be something more advanced than that. I think that's like the
Precursor.
Yeah, that's sort of like a early iteration of that idea that'll help. I think this will be great for people that have neurological disorders and stuff like that. But I think there'll be some type of nanotechnology or something we'll use that'll probably seed itself into our bodies and our minds and allow us to interface.
With like everything.
Yeah.
With everything. And,
That sounds scary, but
cool though. Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe.
I don't want to go first or anything.
Yeah, I'm not in first that line. I'm not like sitting in the tent outside of Apple waiting for the.
I want version 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least.
I remember when Xbox came out. I'm not gonna get the first one. I'm good.
It'll be like Get Out. It looks great on the outside, but then once you get in there, it's like a nightmare.
Yeah.
You're just trapped.
You're stuck between like a wall of 15 advertisements that you got to skip. Some of them you can't. That's not.
You just keep accidentally downloading like hallucinations or whatever. Like.
Yeah, where you get in there, like you put the nanotechnology in, and it's like, oh, I got you.
Yeah. Too late now.
And
So
then
you all know.
I'm gonna go eat at the chum bucket or whatever Plankton made him do.
And then you got to click out of, and then they got their own little version of Clippy from Microsoft on there.
Oh yeah, your little assistant, little Clippy Cortana type thing. So I see also in your resume, Nyland, I was looking through here. You do some investing on the side. Like what that mean? What kind of things are you invested in investing in?
Oh, that's a very good, big old question. That I can honestly say that was kind of like that was in a point in time where I wanted to experience the other half of like the startup space, because I got started off in like I started off doing hackathons a lot, like these programming competitions.
What?
Hackathons, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, man.
You
And
just like race each other to hack into stuff.
Nerd wars.
Yeah.
not quite that one. It's more of like it's like imagine if you're doing a game of Shark Tank, but instead of like pitching the whole finished company, you got to make the company and or product within like a day or two.
Oh, that's cool.
Usually like a night. Yeah. And I was a mentor of mine that got me into that. I was doing like an internship at A&T's campus, and I saw this big old check that was hanging up on the wall, and I was like, "Hey, yo, I want one of those. I want to do that." And that spiraled me down into that whole big old web of like what you said before, a lot of failure, a lot of not winning stuff, but you learn a lot, and then you build up your skills and presentation skills and demo and blah 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 blah.
Well, businesses are all very similar. Like the overall structure and functionality of a business is, I mean, it's pretty much the same across the board almost.
And you know, it's funny that you mentioned that, because it's like before getting here, I was thinking like, you know, a lot of this experience that, you know, starting a business, it relates to like comedy. We were talking about stand up a couple of days ago about how, you know, like how do you get into stand up and how do you succeed at it? And like a lot of these different experiences that you have, either financial, business, or creative, they all have like the same core tenets.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
It's all about
What are those core tenets? Do tell, pray tell.
that's a big answer, but
Yeah.
it's really just it's always, most things are about articulation, like the articulating of a specific idea.
Yeah.
Like the
Effective communication.
yeah, it's a complex articulation of a really complex idea, and or maybe a simplified articulation of a complex idea.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what's that quote? There's a really good quote. Keep talking while I look for it.
Gotcha.
But yeah, businesses they all work pretty similarly as far as the basic structure of the business. And then, you know, there's obviously the nuances within the company. And then when you get into products or whatever the thing does, that's where your nuance is at. Is going to be, you know, what are you developing? But even, you know, from a CEO perspective, it's still the same. You just have to figure out if this is the service or product this company creates, then what teams do I need to create these products, to develop these products, to develop these services? You know, I just need experts that know these things to put in this position to handle these things. And so it's, you know, from a higher level in a company, you're really just trying to make this machine run and operate smoothly and put the right people in the right positions and oversee it all and make sure it's all communicating properly and functioning smoothly together, cohesively.
And now we get back into AI because
and yeah, so now you have AI models that'll just be able to do that whole thing.
yeah, actually, I think I saw I believe I saw an article today about this first AI
There's a couple now. Yeah,
there's a CEO where it's just AI. I'm just like, man,
they're using
CEO AI?
Yeah, there's a few companies doing that now. There's an Indian company that has their CEO is GPT-4.
Huh.
that's insane. Your company is owned
There
by a
are
whole
governments
other
that are
company.
starting to do this. I think Iceland. I think
President AI, maybe.
I think the
one.
Icelandic government is using GPT-4 to help them rewrite some of their government stuff, like some of their laws, and try to help them solve some issues.
Yeah, they got volcanoes to worry about, so they do that. Yeah.
Beautiful landscapes.
Yeah.
Oh my, our
You think that would
commander.
work in America? You guys think that would work in America in AI?
I think it would be way better than what we have now.
Yeah.
So,
Would you vote for AI, Nyland?
Oh man, would I vote for AI?
not yet, but I would.
Yeah.
Yeah,
GPT-5 maybe.
maybe. I I don't know if the world is ready for the commander in code just yet.
Commander in code. I like that.
It's got to be better than what we have now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, our president now is unconscious.
Heck, he could use some. He could use some GPT.
He's unconscious and he can't do math.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's.
Oh my goodness.
I'm not sure which is more conscious.
Yeah. 4 more years sounds like a threat to him or something. Yeah.
Sounds like a threat to us.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, the quote was, an intellectual says a simple thing in a hard way. An artist says a hard thing in a simple way. And that's old Charles Bukowski right there.
Yeah, that's a good quote.
Oy. That's one thing I need to work on. Just better articulation of ideas.
Yeah.
It was kind of funny you tripped up on the word articulation, too. What you're saying.
See what I mean? It's difficult. But back to that investing thing. I'm kind of on a break from that because it's like I want to do that later in life because, well, especially right now because investing in this current state of anything is difficult.
Yeah, everything's kind of unknown right now.
Unknown and uncertain and unsavory.
Why is that?
Things are changing so rapidly.
Yeah.
And also, I think we're about to go into a really bad recession.
Bam.
Maybe depression. I don't know. The economy is very sketchy right now.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And we're being squeezed really hard, too. And a lot of it's intentional.
Yeah.
Rates are really high. There's a lot of price gouging, artificial inflation. So
That's so then when they make it go down to a higher, still large price, they're just like, well, it's better than that was, right? Is that kind of a control
they're
thing?
starting to reduce products now. So they've raised prices to about the max people are willing to pay or can't even afford to pay. And so now they're starting to reduce what you get for your money. And I think people that are on like blue collar people are really suffering right now.
Yeah.
Because they can't
Yeah.
focus on anything except for survival. Everybody's in survival mode. And I mean, I do pretty well and I feel it.
Yeah.
$8 for a jar of peanut butter is insane.
I was literally about to say the exact same thing.
I eat a lot of peanut butter too.
Yeah, same. Dude, I eat peanut butter so much, but Maisie uses it like maybe once a week for a peanut butter and jelly.
It's like a delicacy now.
Yeah, I went there the other day. I was like, "Go fuck yourself!" Like I looked at the $8. I was like, "Dude, go fuck yourself." And then I was
crazy.
like, "I'm not gonna get Peter Pan."
What's what happens though when you don't have good monopoly laws? You have 5 companies that control all the food.
Yeah.
It's like
That's so weird. I was going to use the exact same example.
stuff like that we have to fix.
Yeah.
Because that's a big problem.
Also, like paper towels. I went to go get paper towels for like $8. It was like almost $15. I was like, "Are you kidding?"
Yeah. Yeah, I buy all my paper towels from Sam's.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm looking into a Sam's membership. That might be the move.
You got to.
It's half the price.
And the gas is like insane too.
I have an electric vehicle, so that's good.
yeah,
That's
there
the
you
one thing that I'm
man.
saving on. And I live in High Point, so we use nuclear power, and our power has actually decreased over the past couple
cool.
years. So
no.
I think so. My gas is like $50 a month. Pretty good deal.
That's not bad at all.
Yeah, way more efficient.
Yeah.
And the whole country should be on nuclear power. We shouldn't be using coal for anything.
I think it's just nuclear is a scary word.
Yeah,
I think that's the reason.
yeah, but it's not.
Yeah. I think it's like Chernobyl.
It's very
Yeah.
clean and safe. Even the nuclear disasters haven't cost nearly as many lives as coal.
Yeah, when you like look back on Chernobyl,
oil.
it's just like, oh, that was it. I mean, it was still bad, and we can't live there anymore. But actually, yeah, that is pretty bad. I take all that back.
Yeah, we've never had wars over nuclear power.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
let's hope we never say it. Oh boy. What was that?
Yeah, the coal people bombed my people, so.
They had better coal than us, so we had to take them out.
No, it was just like, hey, we don't want to be treated like shit. And then the Army, that was like the first time I think the Army like dropped bombs on civilians, I think. So
What was this?
the Cold Wars in, I believe it was Logan County. Look it up. Cold War stuff, dude. It's insane.
Oh my.
I've never heard of this.
Yeah, no, seriously. There's the Battle of Blair Mountain, I believe, is what it's called. You can still go there. Like my dad, we would go there, and you could still find like shell casings and stuff. From,
What?
Like, yeah, it was like the coal, like Union guys and whatever fought against like the Pinkertons, and I think eventually the Army got called in and they dropped
Wow.
bombs on. Yeah.
What year was this, though? This was-
Oh, like 1910s.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like
Back
around.
when it was like biplanes, like
Yeah.
Snoopy Dogg planes.
Like they were still using some horses.
Yeah, there were horses. The horses were in the mix for sure.
Oh no.
World War I has some strange equipment, like the military equipment.
Yeah, it started out on horses and ended in
You
tanks.
see like a horse like pulling a cannon,
was
or not like a piece of
1921.
an artillery gun, like an artillery gun that you would think would be pulled behind like a tank.
Mm-hmm.
It's being pulled with like horses or something,
Yeah.
like stuff like that. Very strange.
1921. That was the Battle of Blair Mountain. It was like almost a month. No, it was like a week. Yeah.
Wow,
Jeez.
I'll have to look into that. I've never. That's West Virginia history.
Oh yeah. I think
Oh man.
Army had to come in for us, dude.
Well, dude, it's been awesome, man.
Heck yeah, it has.
Been fun having you. It was a good conversation.
It was freaking awesome, man. Heck, hopefully I get a chance to, come back again maybe? I don't know.
Oh yeah, for sure, yeah. And also, you're an improv guy. Improv sketch.
Improv and trying to get into stand-up. So
Okay.
that's a whole
Okay.
nother conversation that we could have.
Yeah, for sure. Well, where can people follow you though? Just so you can list, so they can keep up with your shows and stuff.
Oh, that's a good question. You can follow me on Instagram. It is PersistXPassion on Instagram, and you can also follow me on LinkedIn. It is Nyland Sidifall, and you can also check out my website, madeby.ny.land. And yeah, that's my stuff.
Awesome. Well, appreciate you coming in, dude. It's been fun.
It's been a pleasure, brother.
Yeah, man. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you did, be sure to like and subscribe. We'll see you next week. Bye, guys.